Hello again, Steve here. Just wanted to do share a few thoughts on what I came across recently and listen to this book on tape. Richard Dawkins. He's a great, seems like a very rational look at the development of species through evolution. And one of the things that I was struck with in this one section had to do with how, in spite of our belief that everything is designed kind of like a blueprint, because it's the way we do things in a hierarchical way. Like if we want to build a house, we develop a blueprint first, and then we work our way down by assigning the tasks out and so on. And what we end up with is a physical representation of the blueprint. But the way, from studies, the way this works in the adaptation, the evolution of plants and all forms of life, is that it is a bottom-up process, which got me to thinking a lot about the way we naturally want to be, right? The way we are naturally is anarchistic or anarchonistic. In other words, we don't desire to be dictated by a master control, whether that's the society or an individual. We want to actually exert our own will to the ends of our desires. And what's interesting too is what they found through the studies is that the farther down you go in the development of a human body, in the development of single-celled animals and so on, is that this is going on also there in the cells. So the decision process to reproduce the cell is not necessarily given from, or not maybe not at all, given from a higher up signal in the body. Rather, it takes place there, and because it takes place there, then the body changes. He used the example of how observing sparrows flying in formation, that they would twist and turn in the sky. There could be thousands of sparrows in a flock, and there's no identifiable leader. Yet they all sometimes fold in on one another and come back out the other way, and none of them hit each other. They stay at a constant distance. And also the building of an anthill. There's all this population of ants buzzing around, but this intricate pathway network and so on gets built without any blueprint. It's something that's, and each ant, if there's no, one ant, there's no one ant whipping a bunch of ants. These ants seem to be going voluntarily. They're making decisions based on local rules. And when we see, I think that human beings are waking up to this too in terms of their freedom, that fundamental decisions, if they're made locally, the closer we can get back to, at least the family working as the core of society, and then each within the family having respect for the dignity and the will of each member within the family. The closer we get to that, the more anarchistic it is, the more anarchonistic it is. And therefore, but the more we see that in terms of the less central planning that we have, the more peace we have, the more beauty we have in terms of the functionality of the society. And we know this too from just local conversations too. A lot of times people will say, give the decisions to the local so-called authority, and they're more efficiently put forth because people take care of their local surrounding a lot better than they do 5,000 miles away or whatever it is. So it kind of makes sense in a way. So I thought it was something to think about. And in terms of improving the quality of our lives. This is important, I believe, because it makes us realize that perhaps one of the reasons why, by admitting that we're the ones who got to make the main decisions in our own lives, and therefore we're in the driver's seat of our own lives as much as we can affect it. I think the reason why that's important is because by observing nature, that's the way nature works on its very base level, is each entity, each living entity, no matter how small, is basically working off of rules in its local environment and making I'm going to say decisions in a very loose sense, because I don't think cells make decisions like we do mental decisions, but takes actions or performs functions and so on according to its own local rules. So to that effect, its actions form its own destiny, and the same goes for us. So it's almost counterintuitive to us to think that we are the ones who are the master of our destiny, because we haven't been taught that. First of all, we've been taught about gods, and there's millions of gods, because everybody's got a different version of it, or some people have thousands of them and so on. And then there's authorities who are appointed by gods called kings and queens and so on, and there's authorities appointed by the kings and queens called ministers and prime ministers, etc., etc. And then they're supposed to represent the people. Nobody knows what people is, capital T, capital P. And then there's us, as it's like a pyramid, it's like a top down. But in reality, when we look at it, what's actually happening is we, supposedly at the bottom, are the ones who make all of that, right? Our belief systems and our work allow the politicians to be there and actually feed the politicians, because the only reason why they get paid is because we produce. And the only reason why the Queen is there is because the politicians do the work for the Queen and justify the Queen's existence, exalt the Queen. And the only reason why the God is there is because the Queen said so, and therefore everybody says so. So we're the ones who create it from the bottom up. We create the hierarchical structure. We create, and so by doing, create the Queen, create everything up. So in reality, we are the ones who are making the local decisions. Our mentality in every moment, we're either creating it or we're maintaining it and adding to it. And when everybody else is doing the same, we have this great power that pushes up. And then we think that the power is coming down, but it's actually not, it's going up. I thought it was really interesting in terms of self-knowledge to realize what power indeed we do have. And when we decide to shift our beliefs and our actions over in a different direction, and when others do as well, all of a sudden we create a different awareness, and we create different results, better results, if that's the direction that we're going in. Just thought it was interesting to share, and I enjoy it once again. Steve here, once again. I'll sign off this evening. Talk to you later soon. Bye-bye.